Hey guys, karibuni tena to Real and Raw. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
This is our girl. This is a continuation from the topic that we were covering last week.
Yes, sir.
So we are just
Moving along the way.
Yeah, and last week, Lisa, we were talking about childhood wounds.
Yeah.
And just breaking down what that means.
Yeah,
because probably,
them.
there's some people who are just like, at a child, what?
What is a child wound?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Did they fall on the ground?
No.
Like they tried to learn how to ride the bicycle?
Bangs. Yeah. So we talked about childhood wounds. So if you haven't watched that episode, please go back first before you watch this one, before you attempt. Go back and then come to this one. If this is your first time, please make sure you subscribe and welcome to the Real and Raw family.
We love you up here.
We love you guys. Yeah, so today we're going to be more specific.
Yeah.
As we said, we are going on with the same topic. And let me just recap on this. We've been doing a series, and this is for the transformed woman. And this is bringing the woman from the old woman who is rejected, who is, in bad relationships, hurt, pained, to the woman who God ordained her to be.
Yeah.
And that's where we are going with all this. So today we're going to be talking about healing from the mother wound.
Jesus.
Where? Hey!
I said, I'm gonna need a glass of water.
I wish I had a shaker. That's with you.
There you go.
Yeah, because I'm telling you,
Yeah.
healing from the mother wound. And we'll just talk about it, we'll break it down. And if you have any comments, you probably might not even agree with what you're saying, please, you're free. It's okay. You're free to comment and to just let us know what you think. Yeah, so healing from the mother wound. I think the first thing we will start, the first place we'll start from is defining what a mother wound is.
What is it?
I think a mother wound is your emotional needs that your mother did not meet when you were a child.
Could not meet.
I could not meet at that time because she was not in the capacity
to
do that emotionally or even mentally.
Or even knew how to,
Exactly. So the thing is that we've always had this thing with, fathers and their daughters, sons and their mothers. But we really don't know how much power the relationship of a mother and a daughter.
Yeah.
That relationship is so powerful.
Right.
And how it can literally sculpt your life.
Like literally.
Man. It's so powerful. And that's why we want to talk about this mother wound. And we're not here at Nini shade on the mothers. No, please, we're not here to do that. That's not how we do.
That's not the point.
No. What we are doing is that we're acknowledging that there are some places where we have been pained, where there is trauma in our lives, and we need to deal with that so that we can move on forward. Yeah.
I think people also don't realize, for little girls, your first example of any other woman is your mother.
Yes.
So just like you're saying, the ability to mold and shape how you grow as a woman, how you relate as a woman. And someone once taught me, the word father, I think the roots mean something like foundation or progenitor or things like that. And then mother has to do with intimacy and heart and relation.
Yes.
And so I think we talked so much about fathers and daughters, fathers and sons.
Yeah.
A father not being there,
exactly,
all being present and unavailable. But I think we forgot to talk about how now that worked with mothers,
Absolutely.
and how that also, not just with their sons, but with their daughters,
specifically with their
speaks
daughters.
so much into who they become or who they don't want to become, but end up becoming because of those wounds.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. How it's a wound that you get from how she couldn't show up for you, or how she did not and chose not to show up for you.
Yeah.
Whether due to her own personal decisions or the lack of knowledge how to. And I think also seeing how you became someone as a result of that wound, but then you realize it's always she's the one who triggers it.
Right.
And it's not anyone else
but her.
Yeah.
Got you. And I know probably some of you may be like, oh, you guys, have you not read the Bible?
Oops.
What does the Bible say? You must honor your father and mother. Yeah, your father and mother. that you may live long. Yes, we agree with that.
Completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we are saying here that is, that we are starting to plant
the word
another path over there. No. This, whatever we do here at Trill and Grow, the standard is the word of God.
Yeah.
At the same time, we are saying that acknowledging is not dishonoring.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that there was pain, acknowledging that there were mother wounds, acknowledging even father wounds for some guys, acknowledging that there was a place where you felt abandoned, where you felt ignored, where you felt disappointed, dismissed. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because you're acknowledging that does not mean you're
dishonoring
your parent.
Yeah.
So let's just get that straight before you come for us.
And even more than that, I think it's that idea of wholeness. Like the wounds, you're looking for sources of where your hurt could come from.
Right.
Not saying that they are the problem.
Forget
our mothers
or
fathers. No.
It's
It's like, how is the healing coming about when we figure out the source of our pain? Because pain is an indicator that something's wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
Hurt is what we end up living through,
Yeah.
And we end up trying to cope with or avoid, So we're not at all contesting the role, the importance of the role.
No, absolutely
the word
not.
affirms them.
Yeah. And the thing is that in a family, when you look at the family setup and how God set it up to be, it is the first place that a child would have interaction with any emotional learning, with anything that will do the emotions or mentally. School is different. School, you're going to be taught about academics and etc. But at home, you're told how to relate with other people, to relate with your parents, how to respond to conflict, how to react.
Absolutely.
And if there are places where maybe your caregiver is not able to teach you because they are lack of, now you have a deficit.
Yeah.
You have a deficit that later in adulthood, it will catch up with you somewhere.
Right.
It will just be, coming out.
Yeah, and it'll also show it, like, it's interesting, like, those kids on a playground, there's some kids who will be more afraid to join into others, or kids who, the light of the room,
they're just like,
and then there are those who are doing it also out of overcompensating for, or the kids who will tell you stories, they are lying, but then you're like, why do you feel like, later it's like, why did they feel like they had to be like that? You don't know, you have no idea what was going on in their home, but that is the first place you'll start looking.
Exactly.
Before you're like, maybe outside, maybe it was their friends.
Yeah.
Like we have this thing for show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. But it's also show me your family.
Oh!
And I'll let you know who you are.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So we want to just look at different ways that the mother wound, like we explained before, has affected people, and we're specifically talking about ladies today.
Yeah.
The girl child.
Yeah.
And one of the things is competition or comparison. Like you feel like almost like you're in competition with your mom, or either she's always comparing you to something, someone else, to, you need to be better like, that, etc.
And I think that's even as a function of maybe her trying to live or prove something, with her own life, because where do we learn comparison from if it's not already done to us? It's very easy,
So it's something that she went through.
Probably, yeah. And at least from what I've seen and even things I've read, it's easier to replicate when you know it that well. So, like if let's say your mom kept saying, why can't you be like your friend Nani? She's such a good girl.
Yeah.
Then I have to be a good girl. And if it kept being repeated to you
over and over, it will just stick in your head.
Or even, how can you have these friends? Them they're getting his and you're hanging out with them. What's the difference with them and you?
What's that one? Woo!
That's what I'm telling you. And you see, it's easy. The pain that you know well is easier for you to replicate.
Yeah.
Because now even you think about whether you say it like aloud or consciously. Nani is doing this.
Yeah.
And it's not, before it even becomes envy or things like that, you know how to already do that.
Yeah. Compare yourself.
Exactly.
You're always constantly
or feel
comparing
like you're
yourself.
Like,
with people.
I must crush her or whatever.
I must be better
than her, And it's like, but who taught you that? When you're on a playground, it'll be like, Nani, I have the best me I have. But then it'll settle and then you go back to playing the next day.
Yeah.
Kids, I think they have a very easy recovery detachment thing. It's like, anyway, it's a new day. Let's play again tomorrow. I'm not your friend. Come back the next day. But then when you get older and these things are the things that are ingrained, like it's scary, especially when it's someone who's your parent.
Yeah.
You know, especially your mom. It's like, or even, let's say there's favoritism, you know, maybe and I was reading about this, let's say your dad, like, you are his favorite or something like that. And your mom now started to feel like it's a tag between you and the mom, and him choosing, even though rightfully so, she's his wife. So it's not
there's no comparison whatsoever. You know? There's no competition.
Yeah. And then now seeing how you might, let's say you turn into a woman who you have many great friendships with guys, but very poor relationships with women.
Very, very poor. You can't be able to relate with girls, and it's because of that. That is stemming from that. And you're like, you know, I think, you know, chicks are they're full of drama, but you're a mama.
Yeah.
I
so
mean,
now,
hello.
What about you? And and it's like, it's not that you're also free of that drama. Yeah. It's like you just learned how to be like a lean on this relationship, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
That necessarily was not supposed to function like that.
Yeah,
you know? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I've thought of this movie. I may be derailing a bit, but I just thought of this movie, Monster-in-Law. It's a movie like back in the day. Jennifer Lopez, it's a very funny movie. It's a comedy. Yeah. So the mother-in-law, she's called Monster-in-Law in that movie because she was so bad to her. Like she was awful. But in the end, we are shown how her mother-in-law was worse than her.
Yeah.
Like she was so bad. So it was just a repetition. It was just a cycle that was going repeating itself. And some of these things, that's what happens
to people.
That maybe your mom at that point didn't have first the knowledge that you know that there's something that's wrong.
Yeah.
And these
just
things were
going.
Her mom just repeated the same things, probably even worse.
Yeah.
And way worse.
And now you're getting a little bit
of a so you're just getting like
but then you could learn that and become even worse.
Exactly. So we're not here to say ati we are here placing blame at CG here. No, what we're doing is that we're trying to find that the problem itself, where it's stemming from, where it's coming from.
And breaking that cycle, because when you can actually identify something, it's like, okay, now that we know what it is, what do we do?
Exactly.
And you know, you stop you trying to figure out how to snip that thing from the cycle from recurring, because it's like, you know, you don't want to be the one who inhibits your kids from healthy relationships.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
And even yourself from healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
And it's not because you are unlovable. You know, it's just because you learned how to cope by being told you are unlovable. You know, and you learned how to cope with that in this way.
Yeah. And then, you know, the other thing is, like she said, how, like, for example, when you're talking about competition and comparison, now that you've known that, this is something that I actually do, is that one of the things that I really think is important is to know what triggers you.
Yeah.
You know, when you feel like maybe you've gotten into an argument and you are there and you're just like, by the way, I am going to win this thing. Yeah. You need to catch yourself doing these things. And I think it's by the power of the Holy Spirit that He'll be able to tell you, hey, girl,
reel it in. Come back, reel it in.
Come back, please, you know, so that you don't step into that space, because they're very dark places that you can step into. Man. Yeah, very vicious, very, very vicious. Yeah. So the other one is, we talked about competition and comparison. The second one is disassociation. Lisa, tell us what disassociation is.
I said go into the root word. Association is
coming together.
Yes. If we can kind of paraphrase.
Yeah.
So this is like, there's a separation. So if we think about kids who can create fantasy worlds to avoid what's actually going on, you know,
right?
Imaginary friends or imaginary scenarios where you're always dreaming of something and not living in the reality. It's
like an escape place.
Exactly. So think of it, it's almost like that flight thing. So you escape to that place to not deal with the pain or whatever's happened now. Not just even pain, even sometimes responsibility. Yeah, because...
Whoa, even responsibility. Wow.
Yeah, man, because like let's say again, like that thing for the conflict thing. I don't want to deal with this. It might not be my fault whether it is or not. I'm just not going to be a part of this. And you say...
And you're out.
Yep, or you're in another place. Like, maybe this would be like this. Maybe if I could imagine, maybe if I just left the place, you know, instead of grounding yourself and being like, I need to be here right now and I need to actually take care of this thing. You kind of absolve yourself from responsibility and say, let me go to this place where it seems more comforting or better.
Yeah,
you know?
so you literally separate yourself from the situation.
Yeah, you literally...
So you don't have to deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And that's dangerous because it's like that idea of the ostrich. You know, I think we forget that the head might be in the sand, but the whole body
is outside.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like you're still gonna come out. We don't know what has happened even on the outside.
Yeah.
You know? And we don't know if it rained or if it snowed or etc. You're still down there, but the rest of you is over here going through it, you know, in the shambles.
Yeah.
Even though your mind might be like, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
But you're going to feel those effects.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a very, very good example. If you find out that you're a person who separates themselves from pain, you separate, like Lisa said, you separate yourself from responsibility, you don't want to deal, and you literally, even though you're attached to it, you're just like, you know what, that's a problem for another day, and you just sweep it. These are for the sweepers.
Yeah, under the carpet.
Under the carpet, tuko. That's your job. You just know how to do that.
Small mound on the carpet then becomes a mountain, and then you're like, in my living room?
Yeah. And also, I think it's also another way that actually morphs into not knowing how to deal with confrontation.
Yeah.
Because you're always running away from situations. Exactly. You're always, you know, disassociating yourself. Why? Jesus. From the situation. Like you don't know how to deal with confrontation. You don't know how to, when there's a problem, you're always running away from it, even though you need to deal with it.
And sometimes it might even trigger other things, like you don't know how to deal with the confrontation, so it triggers anxiety. Because now every time someone's about to come and say something
to you,
a ripple effect. Yeah, it comes with its cousins.
So it doesn't come alone.
Never. And I think it makes it, because now every time something like conflict or something that will trigger that thing happens, you go like, and then you freeze. Then now you're anxious. So then now that anxiety leads to overthinking.
Okay. Yeah. So I think for us, probably the thing that would encourage you is to, like we said, the first time for comparison and competition is that you find out these triggers and that you just ask God to give you the strength to be able to deal, because you have to actively start dealing with situations, not running away from them. You have to actively, you know, confront and ground yourself, and you say, you know what, I'm not going to move until I've dealt with this thing.
Yeah.
And it can be a very hard thing to do. Even because you've been running away for the last 10 years, so it can be a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
So for people who also who disassociate, it's also very easy for you don't get to the place of acceptance that this is actually something that I'm dealing with.
Like, that's your problem.
That's your problem. And you'd even find that people who are actually struggling with this will feel sorry for somebody else who's going through the same thing they are going through, but they haven't accepted it. They have just said, you know what? That problem is there, I'm here, so we are cool.
You can deal with it, then maybe I'll come and learn from you later. Yeah. You know?
But yet you're still having triggers. That's the thing.
And the thing is, with all these wounds that we talk about, it's you can deal with other people, you know where it stemmed, source, great, etc. Right. But you also have to be so, I guess, diligent in accepting also how we reinforce those things. In our lives later, because now when you are grown up, they're not telling you to do them, they're not saying those things to you. But you see, like how we talked about even the thought life thing, your thoughts will reinforce that.
Exactly.
How am I now being my own internal trigger, I guess, also, and accepting also how you've played that role. Yes, they've done this and they did this years ago. How you now have reinforced it and forgiving yourself. Even then, you know, because as you forgive them, you're going to need to forgive yourself even for accepting things.
Yes.
Accepting bare minimums, accepting that disappointment, you know, and even that, all the things we've talked about, and allowing yourself to come to that peace as well, make peace with yourself, so that now that transformation is now, it's not based on just being like, I've escaped, you know, I've put the blame on them, I've understood that they did this, and you see, but now it's like, no, do you keep putting yourself in that situation? Do you keep reinforcing it? And if you do, how are you now going to heal and forgive yourself from that and accept that you are doing this also because this is what you thought, you know?
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, so guys, that's disassociation. The next one is parentification. And the definition of parentification is where the roles are switched and the child becomes the parent.
Or a caregiver.
Or a caregiver.
Yep.
So like when we're talking about now, for example, the mother wound is that now you take responsibility over your mom.
Yeah, you almost like become like the wife in the household, yeah? Now, where your mom, let's say, if I can speak from some degree of experiences, where for kids who have a parent who is going through addictive behavior issues, you find that where now responsibility will be removed from them, you find that you have to pick up a lot of the responsibilities because now they're not functioning in their role. So someone has to. So usually either the other parent will overcompensate or it will pass to the children. And it becomes very hard because you're still a kid.
Yeah. That's the thing, you're still a kid.
Yeah.
my gosh.
You don't even have necessarily the mental capacity to think of things like in that frame of responsibility.
Yeah.
Because you're still here processing hormones and all these things as a teenager or even younger, you know? And leave alone in the cases where it's even more extreme, where you have things like abuse or theft or things like that. You know, it's hard on kids.
Yeah. So I want to read for you guys some signs that you are parentified as a child. You grew up like you had to be responsible for your caregivers, siblings, household tasks, etc. And before I continue, I'll say that this is seen as very normal, especially in the African setup. Very, very normal.
And we're not talking about like chores or
no.
Responsibilities are normal.
Yes.
But now when the onus is on you to organize things, call Nani, she'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. Trouble with play or letting loose.
Yeah, you're hypervigilant. Yeah.
You served as a therapist or confidant for your caregiver.
How many of you are the friend who everyone comes to with their problems?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so you literally, in this case, you are your mother's therapist.
Yep. Or best friend. Where you don't even relate like mother and child. It's almost like you can call her by her first name, like Stella.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Pulled into arguments or issues between like caregivers. Felt like you were given responsibilities that were not appropriate for someone your age. Often complimented for being so good and responsible. You know, you're the one we rely on.
Yeah. And you're like, but wait, you guys are all adults. What's happening?
Thanks. Don't really remember being a kid. You don't remember being a child.
Oof.
Parents had trouble caring for themselves or others and placed responsibility on you. And then the last one, being a caregiver, being a caretaker feels good and natural, even when you are sacrificing parts of yourself.
Yeah, and that's a dangerous one. I think it goes into that fun one, the people-pleasing one, where you will overcompensate. Even though people are giving you 2%, you're like 100 all the time. And you feel good doing it, even though you are exhausted.
Yes, and most of the people who actually are parentified are such people pleasers.
Yeah.
Such people pleasers. Like, you will do anything to be able to make somebody comfortable, even though you're suffering.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You don't matter. Yeah. It's what the other person is feeling. Are they safe? Are they comfortable?
And you find like even it swings even to people who have the abandonment thing, because you're like, I don't want to be left.
Yeah.
So I'll meet every need, you know, as long as you're happy, we'll be okay. But it's like, that's not how. There has to be balance in a relationship. It can't be like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll have someone who's overstretched, is chewing all that fatigue, then someone else is just like, and you find that also in all these narcissistic relationship things. Someone is doing all the weight pulling and someone else is just like receiving.
You're the only one who is like literally pulling the weight in the relationship. This other guy is coasting.
Chilling.
Coasting, chilling. Yani.
They said lavish.
Yeah. And
at your expense.
Exactly. You have gotten to the place where you know what, you're just like, it's fine. You know what, as long as they're happy, you know, as long as they are comfortable, you really don't take time to think about yourself and what you're going through and what it's doing to you emotionally or mentally. Until now, these cracks begin to show and you're just like, you know. It's just like
and you find it's like even people who, like, let's say you're the friend who everyone always gives the bill to pay for everything. So it's not even just in a romantic relationship. It's like, Nani will sort us out.
He's always
Nani,
there.
And it's like, but no. everyone has equal responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah, that time your pocket is looking at you like, unapenda kusot.
And then you don't even have the courage to say no.
Yeah, that's, yes.
Ooh. You don't have the courage to say, I'm sorry, I can't be able to do this right now. Can everybody take responsibility for,
Yeah, can everyone take your own bill?
Yeah. No, you can't. You will struggle there. Yani, you live in mshwari to pay other people's bills.
Yeah.
There's a problem, my friend.
It's like that thing people call black tax. How your family, like, I don't know if you've seen these athletes who have podcasts where they talk, and they were talking about how when they got appointed to, I guess, the various roles in, let's say, American football or whatever, how everyone was like, all of us are leveling up now because of you. And it's like, wait, but no, I'm the one who got the job.
Thanks.
You're all riding.
I know. That's because I was saying that happens a lot. So when you win, we all win through you.
Yeah. And it's like, not because we're going to do work. In you, it's different if, let's say, you win, and then they're like, I have this business proposal, I have this idea, why don't we do this farming thing?
Yeah, you're changiaing.
Like, it's your money. It's your money we're gonna use. Yeah. And it's so dangerous. You end up being literally like sucked dry. Yeah. Completely.
Absolutely.
Emotionally, mentally.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah. So if you feel that you're any of these things, and there are many more signs, you are parentified as a child, and these are things that you need to deal with. When you see that you are, you're the overcompensator, you are the fixer,
the control freak.
You are the control freak, because you are always in a hostile environment, and you are the one who was the referee.
Yeah,
trying to keep everything
steady.
Balanced, So you always try to control everything, even in your life as an adult. So these are all signs, and you can even call them red flags that, my friend, here, your subconscious, your body is telling you there's something that you need to deal with here that has never been dealt with.
Right. Yeah. And we haven't even talked about how these things that happen even start to now bring trauma into your actual physical body. Like, how some people actually freeze. Like some people freeze or break down. Like you see someone turning into like that little girl who was so afraid because they're in a scenario that was almost exactly
the
like
same
what happened.
thing.
Yeah. Something abusive, or even how someone spoke to them, and you just see it going, whoa, like, and you're like, who is this? I didn't even know you were going through this. Someone completely crippled with fear.
Yes, anxiety attacks.
Exactly. Yeah. Just from these things, whether we talked about the competition, the comparison, the being a parent, overextending, all these things, they now generate, the more we suppress them, they generate into actual things that show themselves, Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's, especially as a child who is parentified, one of the things that I think where you will find healing is in learning the word no. N-O. Just that one word. No. Like, no.
Nada.
It's fine to say no. It's fine.
And even when you're guilt-tripped, say no again.
Say no again. Yeah. Like we said, just learn how to say no.
Yeah.
And learn how to spot these scenarios where...
And draw boundaries. Hey.
Thank you. Draw those boundaries and let them be very, very clear.
Yeah.
Boundaries are very important in life.
Yeah, because it tells people this is how much access you have.
This is how far you come, please.
Yeah. And then listen, and I think boundaries can't happen without respect. So I think especially in situations where you're parentified, first you're being asked to respect them, and like we said, honor your mother and father. But then when the disrespect occurs to you, you're told you're dishonoring them if you actually say something. So I guess it comes back down to that thing for being like, this is the line I'm drawing, especially now as an adult, this is the line I'm drawing so that I'm not infringed upon, and then also it doesn't turn into something else where now I project upon you as well. So that we're all safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is something that can really also affect your marriage.
Oh.
Can really, really affect your marriage, because, like, for example, if you cannot say no, for example, to your mom, and it's infringing on your marriage, on the boundaries of your marriage, it will wreck your relationship between you and your spouse because of you not dealing with these things. So please, guys, learn to say no. It's fine. It's okay. Yeah. So the last one we're going to deal with is the guilty child. The guilty child is always second guessing themselves.
Yeah. Ooh,
because
preaching the choir.
because so many, like years ago, when they were children, they always felt shame. You know, they always felt that guilt that they were not, you know, as at par with who the parent wanted them to be. They were not celebrated the way they thought that they would want or feel to be celebrated. And therefore, you always have that guilt.
I think also even you always wonder if, let's say, people grow distant, you wonder, is it something I did? Have I done this? Have I did? So even when they come back, you're almost like, what happened? Like you become apprehensive. Like almost, what's the word? Like you're almost like, I'm not sure how, you plan for how people will feel about you.
Ooh,
Do you understand what I mean?
yes.
So you're like, I won't do anything that will make them second guess my friendship.
Yes.
And then, or even when there's conflict, it's like, did I do this? Is it me?
You're always questioning yourself.
Am I the bad? You know? Am I always the bad? It's easier for you to think of yourself as the bad guy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's terrible because it ruins your self-confidence.
Completely.
And even in your decisions, like you gaslight yourself.
You don't know how to make decisions.
Exactly.
Even when it comes to work, you can't be able to make a decision that, okay, we are going to do this, because you're always, like we said, second guessing yourself.
Work out the way I think. That whole thing.
Painting different scenarios. So, thank you. It's gaslighting yourself.
It's gaslighting yourself to the point where it's like I think you find it even easier to talk yourself out of something. Out of good, things. Even,
you're just like, you'll never get it. It's you, girl.
It's I'm not even ready.
I'm not even ready. It's okay. There's no need.
It's like, it's fine. We're just here. I think you get, what's the word? You're happier with being comfortable. Yeah. Especially with the idea of gaslighting yourself. And you reside in a place where you're like, I mean, this can happen, you know? And I'll live with not having to be the one to make that choice.
Exactly. Yeah. You're great at talking yourself out of things. Oh, fantastic.
I'd rather give someone else the responsibility to make that choice so the onus isn't on you.
Exactly.
Because you've probably been guilt-tripped as a kid. Why did you do this? You always make bad decisions. And you're like, from one thing, that could change your whole perspective, or you're constantly being told, you keep doing things like this. What's wrong with you? And you're like, bruh, maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe I can make good decisions, you know?
So what you're saying, guys, is that all these mother wounds, one thing you're saying is that especially as an adult, you become a person who doesn't accept responsibility. You're always finding ways, to run away from responsibility. And those are the things that we just need to cut off completely. So if you're struggling with, we've talked about competition, disassociation, parentification, and the guilty child. If you see yourself in any of these, what do you call them?
These, I guess, coping mechanisms.
Yeah, exactly. If you see yourself in any of these coping mechanisms, I think this is something that you need to actively look at. Go back and look at the situation with your mother or your caregiver, and now begin to trace how all of it stemmed into
who you are now.
Yeah, so Lisa, you can pray for us, for the guys who this is hard, guys. This is not something that you do and then you're like, oh, we are great. No, it can be very, very hard because it's something that has been there for years and years.
And this is your primary caregiver, so
exactly.
It's hard to remember that and then also take that and put it to God. It's easier to do that and be like, you're the one who's not caring for me by giving me this mom, but it's like, I still got you. But let's pray about it. Father, I thank you that you know us and you knit us together in our mother's wombs, oh God. And even there, you knew it would not be a mistake. Thank you that you see these wounds, oh God, especially that come from mothers. And I thank you that even when David cried out, you told him that even when that core, it may feel like they've abandoned you or given you up, oh God, that you do not. And I thank you that you are our core, you are our foundation, you are the one who is without any shadow of turning. And I pray that God, you who heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds, I pray that your healing balm, you who is the healing balm of Gilead, would seep in and just begin to just soothe, oh God Almighty, begin to heal, oh God Almighty, and begin to just transform us, so that, oh God, not only are we not how we were yesterday, but as we look forward to who we're going to be tomorrow, that you would bring us that hope, oh God.
Yes,
we thank you and we honor you. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Thank you guys for taking the time to join us. If you have any comments, even just prayer requests, I mean, hey, hapo chini. Until next time, bye.
Bye.